the game, cause see the boxing voice.
Welcome back, gang, for the first time and hopefully many more to come. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and click on the notifications right here, this little bell, so you can get those emails every time we go.
ThaBoxingvoice.com live here with trainer Deas. So Jay, man, second week of camp, you brought the sparring partners in. Talk to us about the first week of camp and just what you were doing to get Deontay ready.
Well, the first week of camp we just mostly concentrated on mitt work, did a little bit of bag work, you know, we always go back to the basics when we start camp, just to make sure everything is in alignment, that everything's good, that Deontay feels good, that he's loose, and that first week is a good week to go ahead and just kind of get the flow, and that's what we did.
Now, before we get into who you actually brought in for sparring and what you know, they bring to this camp, just help some of these, you know, obviously the internet is powerful and people are tuned into these interviews. They want to get to know more about Deontay's camp, how Deas trains fighters overall. So fight fans, we look at the sparring partner and say, oh, well, this guy doesn't look like a Tyson Fury or fight like a Tyson Fury. So does 3 sparring partners, 4 sparring partners make one guy for Deas? Or, you know, how do you go about selection and why are specific men here?
Well, you have to understand that you're never going to get a clone of anybody that you're looking to bring in. You're not going to get a replica of that person. You can stylistically get some similarities, you could height and weight get some similarities, but for the most part you're looking for things that person may do, meaning the sparring partner, that can emulate something that Fury would do in this case. And so the 3 guys we brought in, you know, we've got Robert Alfonso, and we've got Craig Lewis, and then we've got Michael Coffey. So 2 of those 3 have been here several times before. Craig's new to us, and I think he's doing a great job. But basically, this is the first week of sparring. This is not the you don't want craziness your first week. You're just again, you're getting in the flow, you're getting in a rhythm, and everything doesn't have to be perfect that first week. We have multiple sparring sessions coming up through the next several weeks. We're bringing in all kinds of different guys, and so this is a great group that's going to kick things off for the camp.
As fight fans, critics, you know, we look at the fights from the outside looking in, and obviously everyone thinks they can do or what the fighter should do, what the trainer should tell the fighter. So, you know, you look at it and you're like, well, Gerald Washington won 4 rounds. Eric Molina made it to the 8th round. And you have to think Tyson Fury is a better man than those guys. No disrespect to those guys, but this is the lineal champ. This is the man that dethroned Vladimir Klitschko. How could Deontay Wilder fans know that this fight won't go the distance and that he won't be baffled or lullabied to sleep by Tyson Fury's antics and, you know, just his jitteriness in the ring?
Well, Fury is a tremendous fighter. There's no question. There's a reason that he's the lineal champion. There's a reason that this is a pay-per-view fight. It's a very compelling fight, and you just hit the question on the head. Can Fury do those things to hypnotize Deontay Wilder? Can he be so awkwardly effective that it turns into an advantageous situation for him? And of course, we're not going to let that happen. You know, that's some of the things that we work on. Deontay's agility, Deontay's power. You know, the thing you don't want to do with Tyson Fury is get to a point where you're in round 6, 7, 8, 9, and you're still thinking, you know, we just got to catch him. We just got to catch him, because that's what Klitschko did, and you saw it didn't work out. You've got to make some inroads. You've got to get some work done. You've got to have some rounds in the bank going into those rounds. You've got to have had some positive things that you've done, some opportunities you've capitalized on going into those rounds. You can't be down 8-0 and think, you know, that okay, all we got to do is hit him, because you've been trying to do that for 8 rounds and it hasn't worked. We can't get in the situation that Klitschko was in.
So basically, you don't want Deontay losing the early rounds. You don't want him playing the role of a counter puncher?
Well, I never want Deontay to lose any rounds. You know, but sometimes the other guy has something to say about that. But Deontay by far is the most athletic guy that Fury has ever fought. you know, and Fury's the most athletic guy, or one of the most athletic guys that Deontay has fought. But no doubt about it, Deontay will have the answers come fight night. I mean, that's what we're working for. That's why he's putting in the strength training and the swimming training and the mitt work and the sparring, and all that is to be at his best on fight night. And that's a process. You know, it's like a football team. You don't go into to the first day of football practice and you're ready for the national championship. It's you have to put all the pieces together and bring in the right people and do the right work for that to happen. And that's what we're doing, and that's why Deontay will be successful, is because he's putting in the work.
So give us a little backstory. As I mean, I spoke to Deontay last week, and he kind of let me know when he first walked in the gym, and you know how he went up to you. He told you he wanted to be a fighter, and he was looking to be a journeyman. He just wanted to make money. Just talk to us a little about that time meeting him and just getting him to this point, and what's been different and what you see, because I noticed that now, like he said, he doesn't run anymore, but when he came, he would do everything that you asked. So how did you go from a point where you were the head coach and now you guys are a team?
Right. Well, that's the great thing about boxing, is that it's an evolution. You know, you start off and you've got a guy that knows very little about the sport. So of course you're the coach and you're telling him and you're teaching him, and that kid grows and he learns and he starts doing things that you wouldn't even have thought of, just things that he's figured out on his own, and his brain is firing off things that he can do. And that's, I think, where a lot of coaches make mistakes, is that they still want the relationship to be coach and athlete. And that's you know, when you get in the pros and you get into the elite level of the pros, it's not always that way. You've got a guy that's had tremendous success. He knows what he's doing. I may see some things outside the ring that he doesn't see. He may see some things inside the ring that I don't see. And so it's more of a partnership and a team as time goes on. And so it all works well together. We know each other very well, and we work together very well. But it starts off as one thing, but it evolves into something, I think, even better.
I have a theory from my times coming to camp that Deontay gets in the ring and he practiced certain moves that he wants to do on fight night. I feel like that juke move that he used, it was more like a football move that he used versus Sparring, was something that I seen here in camp.
Right.
Now I came last week, I see him doing the spin. Do you think he's gonna unveil that spin, or is he just being, you know, the cheerful, happy-go-lucky guy that he is? Or could there be a possibility of him doing this, you know, superhero, I don't know, video game-like move in the boxing ring?
Well, I don't know. I don't know exactly. You know, like I said, he's figuring things out. So a lot of times when he's in the ring and he's doing certain things with his feet, like when he's shadow boxing, he'll just start moving, pop, 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 doing different things with his feet, and you're wondering from the outside, like, what's he doing? What's he doing? But what he's doing is he's seeing something in his mind, and he's kind of working on it. He did the same thing, like you said, with Sparring. He would come forward, and then boom, jump move to the right, and then he put it all together on fight night. So we shall see what's going to happen.
It's a bit like exciting, because you see, for me, I get to see it. You know, people don't. They see it on fight night. Well, now, you know, last week obviously they got to see some of the shadow boxing. Like, is he really gonna do that? And it got me to thinking, like, well, he did it in the Sparring and he practiced it. There's a big chance he probably unveils this. One
of probably the greatest videos to come out, I don't know that enough people saw it, was Marquez when he knocked Pacquiao out. A video came out, everybody, oh, lucky punch, you know, blah, blah, I caught him, whatever. And then all of a sudden this video comes out and you see Marquez working on that exact counter over and over and over in camp. And all of a sudden you realize, and I was so thankful that somebody had filmed that and that it was then released, because then you realize that these guys put in the work. There's a method to the madness. There's a reason that they can do what they do on fight night.
So what is the one thing that you've seen in Deontay way back then? Because, I mean, a guy, what, 19, 21 walks in here and he tells you he wants to be a fighter, and then you give him all your undivided attention for all these many years. What was it that you saw other than, you know, this massive
Well, at first I didn't. You know, at first I didn't give him my undivided attention. I kind of showed him a few things and then I left, and then I watched him from a distance. And it was at that moment I saw him doing things, trying to do what I had showed him, very, like in a very diligent manner. I was like, wow, this is unusual, because most people, if you're right there with them, oh yeah, they're going to do everything exactly as you want it. But you walk away a little bit, watch them, they don't do it as well. So he actually, that was the first wow moment I've told people, when he started doing things on his own, that I showed him, like, hey, this kid really wants to do something. But the thing that I saw in him, obviously the athleticism, obviously he could punch. You know, you can see that from the first time, even without proper technique. Back in the day, he was all arms and legs, but there was still, when he hit people, something happened. So you knew he could punch, and you knew he was athletic. But the will to win was the thing that I think I fell in love with the most. He was fighting a guy, and I can't remember which guy it was, but it was like in the regional Golden Gloves or national Golden Gloves. I think it was regionals. And the winner went to the nationals. And it was a very even fight coming down to the last 30 seconds. And something just came out of Deontay. Both guys are, you know, back then, they're tired, they're doing all they can. And Deontay just took it to a whole different level. In the last 15 seconds of the fight, the other guy's leaning back over the ropes, and Deontay's on top of him, and the ref's trying to, and it was just that will to win that I said, you know, you really have something special here, because that's something that you can't really, I mean, a guy can look great on the bag and on the mitts and, you know, all that kind of stuff, but what happens when he's in a real fight? You know, what happens when it gets tough? You know, there's an old saying in boxing, sometimes it's technique stuff and sometimes it's caveman stuff, and you have to be able to be there and not wither and die when it gets very tough. And that was the thing, I think, the will to win.
TBV family, yes, YouTube has been cutting funding to their channels as of late, and with net neutrality going through its process, the internet is changing. If you want to keep your favorite channel intact, coming up with tons of content, and plus get hours and hours of extra content, head over to patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice to become a member of the TBV family and help support the channel. Peace.